offering the Maharaja a ceremonial ride on the wave dancer, which mostly involved letting the Maharaja steer the boat while wearing sterling sunglasses. Chapter 5. The Gas of Happiness. The breaking point for Thistlethwaite came when he decided to convene a fitness board to permanently remove Pringle from the Navy. That bumbling idiot nearly drowned me during a boat drill. Thistlethwaite fumed. He's a menace. He's a disaster. Sterling knew he had to act. He heard that Thistlethwaite was going to the base dentist for a wisdom tooth extraction. Nitrous oxide, Sterling told his crew. Laughing gas. If we can get the Admiral into a joyful state of mind, he might just cancel the board. The plan involved sneaking a tank of the gas into the headquarters ventilation system just as Thistlethwaite returned from the dentist. The effect was instantaneous. Thistlethwaite, usually a man who looked like he was perpetually smelling something sour, began to giggle. Then he began to laugh. By the time the fitness board members arrived, the Admiral was wearing a wastebasket on his head and trying to dance the tango with a coat rack. "Oh, Chucky Wucky," Thistlethwaite roared, grabbing Pringle by the shoulders. "You torpedoed a garbage scow. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. Give this man a medal. Give him 2 medals. Give him my pants." The board members exchanged worried glances. "Admiral, are you quite well?" "I've never been better," Thistlethwaite shrieked, falling off his chair in a fit of hysterics. "The flies, the frangipani flies are everywhere. Protect me, Pringle. Use your slingshot." The fitness board was cancelled on the grounds that the presiding officer was clearly suffering from a temporary neurological explosion. Chapter 6. The Alligator and the Law. The final showdown occurred over the base payroll, $62,000 in cold, hard cash. Thistlethwaite, in a desperate attempt to trap Sterling, had marked the bills and accidentally left his wallet near the wave dancer's dock. "He'll take the bait," Thistlethwaite whispered to Penhaligon. "And when he does, it's the brig for life." But nature had other plans. A local saltwater crocodile, affectionately named Snappy by Pringle, had developed a taste for Pringle's mother's peanut butter sandwiches. Snappy had crawled onto the dock, found the wallet, and, thinking it was a particularly leathery snack, swallowed it whole. Pringle found the crocodile, with the Admiral's ID card sticking out of its mouth. "Skipper, Snappy ate the Admiral." The news spread like wildfire. When Thistlethwaite appeared, alive and well, he was furious to find Sterling's crew mourning him while trying to feed a crocodile peanut butter. "You stole it," Thistlethwaite screamed. "My wallet. The payroll. You gave it to this beast to hide the evidence." The resulting court-martial was a circus. Sterling, acting as the defense attorney, insisted on bringing Snappy into the courtroom as the star witness. "Your Honor," Sterling argued, "my client, Snappy, is a victim of circumstance. He has an unhappy childhood and a crippling addiction to creamy peanut butter. He didn't steal the money, he merely stored it." "This is an outrage," Thistlethwaite shouted. "The crocodile is an accomplice. Look at its eyes. It's shifty." Just as the judge was about to rule, Pringle managed to tickle Snappy's throat with a feather. The crocodile let out a massive belch, and the wallet covered in slime but containing every single marked bill flew across the room and landed directly in the judge's lap. The case was dismissed. Thistlethwaite was ordered to pay for Snappy's trauma, and Sterling was given a commendation for environmental preservation. Epilogue. The quiet after the storm. As the sun set over Ballyhoo Atoll, Maverick Sterling sat on the deck of the Wave Dancer, sipping a cold drink. Pringle was sitting nearby, sharing a sandwich with Snappy. "You know, Bumbles," Sterling said, "I think we've really made a difference here." "We have, Skipper?" "Sure. We've kept the Admiral's blood pressure up, we've provided a home for a wayward reptile, and we've proven that the United States Navy can survive anything as long as it's not too organized." Across the water, the screams of Admiral Thistlethwaite echoed through the trees. He had just discovered that the garter belts Miller had delivered were actually a shipment of industrial-sized rubber bands for the mechanics shop. Sterling smiled, leaned back, and closed his eyes. It was just another day in paradise. The Chaos Chronicles of Sector 7. The Rust Bucket Rebellion. Chapter 1. The Ulcer of Destiny. Deep within the neon-soaked humidity of the Azure Archipelago, Obsidian Outpost 7 stood as a monument to administrative neglect. It was a place where the salt air corroded the high-tech sensors faster than the technicians could install them, and where the hierarchy of command was as murky as the swamp water surrounding the barracks. At the center of this bureaucratic nightmare sat Director Maximilian Leadpipe Luger. Luger was a man whose ambition was only matched by his staggering incompetence and a chronic case of acid reflux that could, in his own words, dissolve a titanium hull. Wow, 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 wow. Luger barked, slamming his fist onto a desk cluttered with holographic supply requisitions. He glared at his long-suffering aide, Lieutenant Barnaby Butterfingers Binks. Tactical support mesh, Binks. The nursing staff requested tactical support mesh for their formal uniforms. And you sent them vintage garter belts from the 20th century archives? You are the logistics officer. When the medical corps needs support, you snap to it, you shake a leg, or whatever is left of your dignity. Binks, a man who once accidentally ordered 3,000 tons of frozen yak meat instead of fuel rods, stammered nervously. But Director, the requisition code was nearly identical to... I don't care, Luger wailed, clutching his stomach. Everything is on my shoulders. And now, the final nail in my coffin. I just got a priority transmission from Global Command. High Auditor, Iron Jaw, Sterling is arriving today for a sneak inspection. Do you realize what that means? Sterling doesn't just inspect, he eviscerates. He looks at a fingerprint on a window and sees a court-martial. Luger's terminal chirped. It was the chief petty officer from the maintenance deck. Sir, the waste reclamation sinks in the officers' lounge are backing up again. The smell is... So what? Luger screamed into the comms. I'm the base director, not a plumber. Do you expect me to fix it with my bare hands, while the auditor breathes down my neck? He collapsed back into his chair, frantically swallowing a handful of neon blue antacid tablets. Binks, I'm dying. I really am. My stomach feels like a nuclear reactor in meltdown. Wait. A thought occurs. A brilliant, tactical, genius thought. Binks braced himself. Luger's genius thoughts usually resulted in someone losing a limb. If I was sick legitimately, medically incapacitated, I could appoint an acting director. Someone who would have to face the auditor. Someone who would fail so spectacularly that the auditor would be too busy firing them to notice my sinks are leaking. Luger's eyes gleamed with malice. We won't appoint the efficient Captain Miller. No, we'll appoint Silas, Snake Striker. Striker? Binks gasped. Sir, Striker and his crew of scavengers are basically pirates with government paychecks. They'll run wild. They'll turn the base into an orgy of chaos. Right in front of the auditor. Exactly. Luger cackled, then immediately winced from a stomach cramp. Call the medics. Tell them I've collapsed from the stress of being too perfect. Tell them I'm near death's door. Chapter 2. The Unwilling Reign of Snake Striker. Commander Silas Snake Striker was currently lounging on the deck of the Viper 7-3, a modified high-speed interceptor that looked like it had been held together by duct tape and sheer willpower. He was watching his crew, a collection of technical geniuses, card sharks, and moonshine enthusiasts, try to catch a swamp gator using a synthetic ham as bait. Skipper! Binks shouted as he stumbled down the dock, nearly tripping over a power cable. The director! He's in a bad way. The stress has finally cracked him. He's appointed you as acting base director. Stryker tilted his aviators down. Me? Luger hates me. He'd sooner appoint a rabid ferret. It's an order, Commander. He's in the infirmary. You have to take command immediately. Stryker sighed, knowing a trap when he smelled one, and it smelled worse than the backed-up sinks. He marched to Luger's office, finding Binks already trying on the director's oversized hat. All right, Percy, Stryker said, addressing Binks by his first name. Since I'm in charge, you're the acting executive officer. Get on the comms. We've got maintenance issues, supply shortages, and apparently an auditor incoming. Within 10 minutes, the office was chaos. The maintenance chief was screaming about gutter